And I got to work on a new approach for breast cancer patients that could do a better job.
People who one by one would approach the front of that courtroom to say 2 words and 2 words only.
So how do I approach them without being offensive? I have well-meaning colleagues go.
By play, I am in no way suggesting that we take a light approach to dying or that we mandate any particular
behind the company, and it's been a really it was a good branding approach. And so personal branding can be
say yes to the world community that is determined this is a fair approach that gives Iran the ability to re-enter the international
and kill them is another very promising approach, and there have been some check.
In general, our approach has not been that environmental factors are prevalent in
kind of a unique thing, because it's an opportunity to take a step backwards and reapproach the challenge that you're facing.
But his approach to design was too experimental, as was his insistence on.
There's only one problem with that approach. You'll probably get the wrong answer. You will miss some.
I don't think that that is a sensible way for us to approach this.
Let's talk about another interesting issue.
Rethink my whole approach to stress. This study tracked 30,000.
It's going to happen.
But there is another approach to redefining the kilogram, which
the brain is that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to learning. So there's no recipe.
So that's more like the UK approach, right?
Well, the UK...
Talk about your philosophy and approach to leadership, which I know is very important.
Of things in mind. They've got as sophisticated an approach to Europe as I would have going to China. But that's the notion, and in Europe they have a lot of legal brothels, and they seem to appreciate that sort of approach to it, and it's certainly
history. So I think it's a better approach to just kind of highlight 1 or 2 things and
Alberta adopted this kind of approach and refined their strategy so much over time.
And adopting that approach, because of that increased understanding of the catchment.
Taking a much more data-driven, rational approach, and as we see, that's a.
Does that influence how you approach the task going forward?
Because his mental building is his approach to making the best chefs in this country.
Yeah. And we were like, how are you going to approach the CEO and want me to build a deck for?
Out of the systems approach. How to grow more vegetables.
Utilizing an evidence-based, personalized, multidisciplinary approach. And really what we hope to do
we can predict. So it was a very bottom-up approach. And then once we had those forces,
We take a different approach. Your research.
So really, I just approach truth the way a writer does, and that is I look at it as...
And that's really a people-oriented approach. I think sometimes people might forget that.
You could choose either approach, and either one could.
Whenever you and I worship our God, we're making an approach to God. The Bible doesn't say that we're to take...
So we have an approach to compensation, for example, that's very halakhic.
Took the danger seriously and began to approach it and come up with solutions.
So in summary, the Polymer Project's approach.
His approach was modeling everything through the lens.
Target audience that you're approaching.
And you talk maybe about poverty.
Those attitudes, and now there is a more compassionate approach in a lot of places.
Because then there's more of that community approach, and everybody's a little more patient with.
Such as Edward and Brett Weston or Ansel Adams.